Hey everybody, Chris from Six Wins here with Matt from Six Wins talking about the first round matchup, the number 1 seed Tom Hanks versus the number 16 seed Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And I know, Matt, you had some thoughts about this if you want to take the floor.
I do. So this one, it's not quite Edward Norton, Liam Neeson levels for me, where I'm super invested because Tom Hanks is a phenomenal actor. And, you know, but I saw Hugh Jackman had to go up against Tom Hanks and I was pretty sad. 'Cause, like, that's a hard guy to beat. But I did think, like, this one's going to be closer. This might be our 116 that stays close. Because Hugh Jackman, if you're not into, like, a lot of the sort of award season movies, Tom Hanks is in a lot of those award-winning movies.
Yeah.
But that's a certain kind of movie, and it's not usually, like, the pop culture movies. Hugh Jackman's in Greatest Showman, X-Men, and a lot of things like that. He's in maybe more like mainstream films, summer blockbusters and stuff. So I really, really like Hugh Jackman a lot. I really like Tom Hanks. I like Tom Cruise too. I have something in my eye and it's really throwing me off right now. It's effing me up.
We're going to keep rolling.
Though I have one small random story about Hugh Jackman, which isn't really why I'm picking him, because I don't think this is true.
Yeah.
But I lived in Japan for a few years. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, side note, you posted that photo of you dressed up as Wolverine, and again, you pulled it off. I thought there was 2 of you. I thought it actually was Hugh Jackman.
I did dress up as a Wolverine for a day at work when we dress up on certain days for our kids.
Hugh looked jacked, man.
Yeah, one of my coworkers said, "Oh, I like Hugh Jackman. I didn't know they made him in medium Jackman."
That's a good joke. That's better than my joke.
It's not a bad joke. Anyway, I lived in Japan for a few years, and one thing that maybe is a commonplace occurrence, maybe not, is like Japanese people will want to like compare you to somebody that they recognize from like American entertainment.
Yeah.
And one teacher told me that like, oh, you know, he's trying to get through his English and be like, you look like, and he's like, huge, you know who you look like, some guy in a movie, Hugh Jackman. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Sweet.
I don't see it. I usually get like Adam Scott.
Oh, yeah. I see it, yeah.
But Hugh Jackman was a great compliment. It's not accurate, but I was like, I literally think it's just because of the beard. But yeah, for that reason alone, I vote for Hugh Jackman.
Okay. Is Adam Scott's the brother in Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God, the car scene.
Bow, bow, I'm Derek, and I can sing high like that. And I can sing high.
Tom Hanks is incredible. I know Hugh Jackman's facing an uphill battle. I'll vote for Hugh Jackman, but Tom Hanks is like, I think he's my favorite 1 seed out of all the 1 seeds, so.
Yeah, it was tough to do the 1 seeds because there's so many great actors. It took, everyone's ideas, like submissions from my buddies, and then honestly a lot of Googling. Like, okay, I'm going to look at X number of best actor lists from like Rolling Stone, IMDb. Who am I seeing the most in like the top 5? Because I didn't want it to be like Chris's personal. I wanted to be like, what would the general? So some of the rankings are off, I would say, but I did my best. I always do my best to make the brackets as like inclusive as possible. And we're going to do our best in all the upcoming ones that we do to make it so it's not like just specifically us. We want all the submissions possible. Doesn't matter. Anywho, so Tom Hanks would be my pick, and I was a huge Forrest Gump fan growing up, but I will say maybe it's just because it's been quoted so often and it's GIFs and it's memes or GIFs, whatever you say, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think Forrest Gump aged that well. I tried to watch it not too long ago, a few weeks as we were gearing up for this, and it's just, it doesn't hit the same, for me at least.
Gotcha. It almost sounds like it's like Monty Python for me. And I've actually never seen Monty Python because you don't have to. By the time you're 15, everybody has said every quote from those movies, and I'm tired of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what Anchorman was. I saw Anchorman in theaters. It was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in theaters. It's going to be on the best comedy film bracket. But I think, you hear the quotes and then you see it, you're like, oh, everyone already says this. Why is this? not to go on my Sopranos rant, we'll get to that later, but I feel like I'm an Italian mob boss. That's the funny guy. That's the guy who eats the pizzas. Oh, that's Joey. You don't want to mess with Joey. It had been done to death, so by the time I went back and watched Sopranos, I'm like, oh, this is just a parody of itself. Yeah. Sopranos is great, I am sure, but I couldn't get past the first season for that reason alone. So I always say Sopranos sucks, but it's not Sopranos' fault. Like, if you had watched it when it was originally on, it was great. But my favorite Tom Hanks movie is Castaway.
I really like
Castaway. I remember the big thing about it going in. I saw it in theaters. I remember the big thing is that it has like a 20-minute span where not a word is said. From like the time the plane takes off to the time he, I think, finally talks to Wilson. Or maybe when he gets jacked up and because he makes the fire, not a word is said. It's just all shown in like his face. And so that was probably my favorite Tom Hanks film. And then I don't want to waste everyone's time and go down the list and be like, oh, well, he was also in Big. He was also in Captain Phillips. He was also in the movie where he lands the plane. Don't need to do that.
Sully.
Yeah, Sully. I don't want to sully the sanctity of this. Who moved on?
Tom Hanks did move on. It was at least, I don't know if it was close on some of the social media we checked. Yeah. There was one where Hugh Jackman, one of the apps we posted on, Hugh Jackman did get more votes than Tom Hanks, but not enough to make up the gap in the other ones. Yeah. So Hugh Jackman did stick around, but Tom Hanks is moving on, and I think Tom Hanks is probably a favorite to win it. I just think he's in so much and is so recognizable, but we'll see.
Also, one of the first people to get COVID. You remember that?
Yeah,
there was like, COVID was just this thing, and Tom Hanks got COVID?
Yeah.
And that was back when people called it the coronavirus.
Yeah.
All right.